Let me tell you the story of a young man named Ethan. Ethan was like many of us, full of potential, ambitious, and with dreams of becoming successful. But there was something standing between him and the life he truly wanted. It wasn't luck. It wasn't fate. It wasn't even a lack of opportunities. It was something much simpler and much harder to face. This is the story of why Ethan, like so many others, didn't become rich, not just financially, but in the way that truly matters in life. Ethan grew up in a small town with big dreams. He always imagined that one day he'd be wealthy, he'd have the big house, the fancy car, and all the freedom money could buy. He was passionate about business, always reading about the great entrepreneurs who started from nothing and built empires. He told everyone, "One day I'll be successful." But here's the thing, Ethan wasn't doing anything to actually make it happen. After high school, Ethan moved to the city, full of excitement and hope. He got a job, rented a small apartment, and started living the life he had always imagined. But there was a problem. Instead of pushing himself to work on his goals, Ethan got comfortable. He found a routine, a 9-to-5 job that paid just enough to cover his bills, and every weekend he'd go out with friends, drink, and have fun. He convinced himself that life was about enjoying the small moments, and he worked just hard enough to stay afloat. He thought, "I'm young. I'll get serious about this later." As the months passed, Ethan began noticing something strange. Other people around him, people who weren't necessarily smarter or more talented, were moving ahead. They were getting promotions, starting their own businesses, traveling the world, and living the kind of life that Ethan always dreamed of. Ethan had opportunities too. There were job openings that could have advanced his career. There were side hustles that could have helped him make extra income. But instead of seizing them, Ethan would push them aside. "Maybe later," he'd tell himself. "It's too much work right now." But the truth was, Ethan was too comfortable in his routine, too afraid to step out of his comfort zone. He didn't realize that the secret to success isn't just about having big dreams. It's about taking consistent, sometimes uncomfortable action, day after day. One day, Ethan got a call that would change his life. It was his old friend, Jordan, who had moved to the city a year earlier. Jordan had started a business and was doing well, making more money than Ethan could imagine. "Ethan, what are you doing with your life? You've got so much potential, but you're wasting it," Jordan said. At first, Ethan was defensive. He didn't want to hear it, but Jordan's words stuck with him. "You're living in your comfort zone, you're not taking risks, you're not pushing yourself. And because of that, you're staying stuck. You'll never be rich if you don't change." For the first time, Ethan heard the truth about himself. It wasn't that he didn't have what it took to succeed, it was that he wasn't putting in the work. He wasn't willing to sacrifice his comfort for the future he wanted. He was playing small, while others were playing big. Ethan knew something had to change. He began waking up earlier, dedicating more time to learning, to reading about finance, business, and self-development. He started listening to podcasts, attending workshops, and looking for ways to create multiple streams of income. He learned that success doesn't come from a paycheck. It comes from building systems, creating value, and being consistent even when no one is watching. But it wasn't easy. The first few months were tough. He had to say no to nights out with friends. He had to spend weekends learning instead of relaxing. He had to sacrifice short-term comfort for long-term growth. And there were days when he wanted to quit. But the difference was that now he was building something. He was moving forward, slowly but surely. Over time, things began to change. Ethan started a side business that grew steadily. He stopped wasting money on unnecessary things and started investing in assets that would pay off in the future. He took calculated risks and started to see results. It wasn't an overnight success, but as the years passed, he could see the progress. He wasn't just accumulating wealth, he was building a foundation for a life of freedom and purpose. He wasn't just rich in money, he was rich in knowledge, experience, and wisdom. Ethan's story isn't unique. Many people have big dreams but never take the actions necessary to turn them into reality. They stay in their comfort zones, telling themselves they'll start tomorrow or next year. But tomorrow never comes. And the truth is, you'll never get rich by staying in the same place, by staying comfortable, or by avoiding challenges. The reason you're not rich right now is that you haven't taken full ownership of your dreams. You're waiting for the right time, but the right time is right now. If you want to change your life, you have to be willing to step out of your comfort zone and take risks. You have to be willing to do the hard work when it feels like no one is watching. Ethan didn't become rich by waiting for opportunities to come to him. He became rich by creating his own opportunities and choosing to grow, even when it was uncomfortable. If you're ready to stop making excuses and start taking action, then today is your time to begin. The question is, will you?